What's the haps? I'm John, aka Meroka, and welcome to Spiel. So today we are in the Dark Rook on Tier 3 Elite, which is principally a poison stratum, so there's a few different types of things, and I'm going to totally forget to change my gear, but hey ho. So, poison is the main name of the game today. So, oop. Moment of spawning lag there. So if you had a look at the channel over the last day or so, you will have noticed, or if you know me on Steam or follow me on Twitter or whatever, you may have noticed some artwork popping up. A little bit of a kind of a rebranding kind of thing going on, which is mostly related to something I talked about at the start of December. So I mentioned back then that I was attempting to track down an artist who, it turns out, Lattes and Sklay knew all along and just was hiding from me, I guess. Tomoki used to be, at any rate, an artist within the Spiel Knights community. She doesn't play anymore, but is still quite happy to take on commissions, and as such, did one for me. So it's a fantastic piece of artwork that's going to be on most of my stuff that I do. It's going to be a mascot kind of thing, I guess. I brought these for these guys. I knew you would be here. And I brought you an Acheron, guys. Haha. Saved it just for the gremlins. I got one of you. I've got 3 weapon slots, so I just brought one of each type, so I'm covered in all contingencies. Although I may not have the right armor. Hang on, I've gone back. I've gone backwards. That's not the way to go. I should get my sense of direction together. I need a map. Can someone provide me with a map of the clockworks? No? Okay, well, never mind then. So, we've got some Spiel Knights news in addition to check out the awesome artwork, which is news for me. It's news I like. Got a couple of things going on at the minute, both related to the same time of year. Both Valentine's Day things. There is a competition going on the forums. If you've not checked that out, go check that out. I think there's also a post on the front page of the Spiel Knights website for you to go have a look at that. So, there's a competition for you to do your best drawing of a creature that you love in Spiel Knights. Can't be a knight, it has to be a creature from the Clockworks, I believe. And you have to draw it using crayon. Which, my first reaction to that was, that sounds hilarious. There's going to be loads of really crudely drawn sort of children's style artwork in crayons. It's going to be amazing. I want to have a go at this. And then I looked, and the first 2 submissions are these 2 absolute freaking masterpieces. Well, by my standards anyway. They're amazing things. And it's like, what? You did this in crayon? This is crayon. You can't do that in crayon. I was expecting some sort of childlike scroll to have a giggle at all these things. I thought this was the point of the competition, but you've gone and actually done something really freaking amazing with crayon. So, yeah, actually there's some talented people that can use crayon as a actual artistic medium, it turns out. So, if you are the sort of person who can draw well in crayon, well, maybe you want to go check that out, because that seems like it'd be useful for you. You could have a go at that and enter a competition, and you can win a bunch of stuff out of that. There's I forget, there's 2 different categories as well. And the other one is just do artwork in whatever medium you like, be it video, poetry, pictures, whatever the heck, interpretive dance. As long as you are creating some sort of love letter to your favourite creature within the Clockworks. I can't remember exactly what the prizes are. The prizes differ between the 2 categories. There's like, there are the monster pockets. There's a Love Puppy Forever hat, and that sort of thing. Valentine's-y and cutesy kind of things going on. And speaking of Valentine's and cutesy things, we've also got another promo going on at the minute, which if we open up the supply depot, we should be able to have a look at. So we've got Valentine's things. We've got a nauseatingly pink gift box, which is literally just I think it appears to be a lockbox that you can put whatever the heck you like in, and then you can put a message on it and give that to somebody, and then they can open it, and it'll go da 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 da, and a thing will come out, and it's whatever you put in it. And if you want to have a giggle, you could put an ecto drop in it. If you want to be really nice, you could put a love aura in it. I don't know, it depends how you're feeling. It seems like a lot of money for a gift box though. I mean, we've got a sort of pale pink one for 350, and we've got this lovely heart one for 500, which is a purple colour. So it's all Valentine's sort of colours and themes going on here. And the idea of giving gifts to people. I gather this is in response to a demand last year. Apparently everyone complained that there was no proper Valentine's Day. There's no sort of method of actually giving people Valentine's Day gifts, so they've put a load of stuff on here. This is all unbound when you pick it up, so you can then pop it in a gift box and send it to that special somebody. We've got a Crest of Love, which is this pulsating heart kind of badge. It goes in your crest slots, but it's actually animated. It's kind of cool, but pricey. And we've got the Forever Love Puppy Mask, in case you don't like the ones that expire, that appear up on the auction house fairly frequently. We've got a new set of eyes, which are heart eyes, which doesn't come with a... It's not a costume piece, so it doesn't actually preview that. And a Love Aura, which, well, you've all seen that before. They're not totally rare. And we've got a few more snipes. We've got Wandering, Lazy, and Flying snipes to put in your guild hall. And they come in red, and no other colour. You can have it in any colour you want, as long as it's red. So there's that, and the competition I believe ends tomorrow, the promo I believe ends Friday, if I'm not mistaken. It's possible I may be mistaken, but I don't think I am. So if you want to get in on any of those, act fast. If you're artistic, you'd better be fast and artistic. If you're wanting to buy things, well, I hope you've already got your money saved up. So there ain't much time left on them. So, there's also... Oh, I hadn't actually wrote this in my notes, but it's just... I just remembered this. Again, social news feeds. There is some more of the early concept type stuff popping up. I seem to be big on sharing that at the minute. There's some early concepts of the Gremlins, with a quote from Ian, in which apparently the Gremlins were initially supposed to be essentially like sentient tools, I believe was the description, I think. And he turned them into more of a kind of rodent thing, which is obviously the creatures we all know and love today. So there's your Gremlins and their origins, in case you're interested in knowing such things as those. So I got a couple of questions to go through this week. Oh, I can two-shot a Gremlin with a Barbarous Thorn and an attack buff. That is good to know. I like that. So got a couple of questions. Where are we starting? Let me check my list of things. We've got it's a question from Diotic Haze. I think that's pronounced. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I think I am. It says, I heard rumours of Polaris for Gunslinger update that does fire and electric damage. Would you like to see this in game? Is this likely to happen? The Polaris things, right. I thought there was nobody in the game who was not aware of this yet. It's maybe a little bit spoilerific. Nothing to see around here, let's head out. But I feel like most people know this. I mean, if you are still genuinely avoiding any kind of news about the Gunslinger update, put your fingers in your ears and go, la 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 la, I'm not listening for the next minute or so. But yes, there will be, as far as we're aware, two more, I think, unless they are going to sneak some more in under the radar. We are aware of 2 more Polaris lines. It's not going to do both fire and electric. I feel like that would be overpowered. There are going to be 2 lines. One will do fire and one will do freeze. I didn't check out what this was. It's clearly Deconstruction Zone, judging by the music. I brought the right weapon. I haven't brought the right armor. Dag nabbit. Oh well. We'll just have to take lots of damage, I guess. So yeah, you got two more options, and basically it's going to turn the Polaris into the gun equivalent of the Brandish, I would say, because you got an electric, you got a fire, and you got a freeze option. Take your pick. Which status effect would you like to inflict? Would I like to see it in the game? Yes, I can't wait to see it in the game. I really want the fire variant, quite frankly. I would love to be able to just pummel a big crowd with gun bullets at range and just set everything on fire. That seems like a fun thing to do to me. That's the way forward I would like to go. Might be worth grabbing one of them on Nimtra as well, I feel. So yeah, there's that. That was an easy enough question. It is a rumor, but it's a rumor based in facts, based on the fact that people just go into the game files and find it in stuff like Spiral Spy. There are people who do. I've never been able to get Spiral Spy to work personally, so I can't actually look at anything like that. I don't know why. I feel like I've done everything right. It just straight up just won't launch. So I can't do that, but there are plenty of people who do dredge out all the files every time there's a thing. We keep getting all these behind-the-scenes updates, and I'd be interested to know what people have found in those, if anything. Because it seems like it's the sort of thing that might just add content to the game without actually giving any a way for players to access it. I don't know. But Who knows? Only 3 rings and they ain't telling. Or maybe people who use Spiral Spy. So, if someone does know how to get Spiral Spy working on my computer, please let me know. I've been through the troubleshooting. I'm sure I've done it right. It just doesn't happen. I don't know what's wrong with it. This terrible thing. But anyway, we've got another question. This is going to be the main question. Oh, I've got a thing. Who's thinging me? Niet. No, thank you. Little busy right now. Appreciate the offer, but a little busy right now. So, I need to find a key in here somewhere. There must be one lurking somewhere. Oh, indeed. There's some gremlins loose yet. Let's get you. Let's clear up all the gremlins. That seems like a good strategy before we release the hordes of other ones. Play it safe. I like this because I can just... Astron is such a great weapon for these guys because you can just wham. Just take them out with a huge shockwave of evilness. It's awesome. Ooh, and an attack buff. That's cool. So... Right, you guys, I don't actually want to fight you. I want to get you guys. And you... No, get back here. Get back here. I should have stopped and read my question before I summoned all the things to fight. That was probably would have been wise. I am not a clever man. And, oh man, I wrote my Polaris. Alright, let's do some kiting and reading. So, right, it's not a complicated question. It's, what do you think about children playing games such as COD, Call of Duty? Do you think this is something small or a big problem? Depends on your perspective, I think. Personally, I wouldn't have said it was a particularly big deal, but I know there are certain people in this world that do think it's a major issue. The fact is that kids, generally speaking, are going to go out their way to try and do stuff that they're not supposed to do. God knows I did, God knows most of my peer group did growing up, and I would be very surprised to learn that today's kids were not doing that as well, do you know? That's just what kids will do. They will rebel and try and break rules and do things that they are not intended to do. And one of those things is play 18 rated games when they're about 10. So, yeah. I grew up doing that sort of thing. I've never killed anyone. I don't think. I'm not aware of it anyway. I don't remember it. I mean, it was all a bit hazy, but hey. No, I got... The first one that would be notable for me, I've said a million times, is the game I've grown up with. Unreal Tournament. That game was indeed rated an 18, and it came with the first half-decent computer that our family ever got back when I was 11 or 12-ish kind of thing. And I do remember going to my parents and saying, this game says it's rated 18, but can I play it? And I think my parents were like, why are you bothering us with this? We don't know anything about this. Whatever, go on, alright, I guess. They just didn't know what the heck I was even asking, really, I don't think. It wasn't a thing back then. The game ratings existed, but parents were not educated on it to the extent that they generally try to be today. There's rating boards out there that try to educate parents on stuff, and in my day that just wasn't a thing. My parents were like, what are you talking about? Games? What is this thing? What are you doing? Can you just let us keep watching TV because we understand TV? So there we go. I played Unreal Tournament for many a year, and it was great, and it involved taking very powerful shotguns and pointing it at people at point-blank range and then making them explode. And it was great, and I don't think I came out any the worse for it. So, I think people do give kids a little too little credit. I think kids genuinely can pretty much distinguish between fantasy and reality. Most kids probably have a pretty good idea when they're playing a video game and when they're actually shooting a real person. But the problem with kids playing underage kids playing games rated above their age is every time the media wheels it out as part of the whole scapegoating thing that gaming tends to get. Every time someone goes on a rampage somewhere like, oh, this is terrible, video games are to blame. We're like, well, how are video games to blame? Well, this guy played video games, and then he broke into a gun cabinet and went and killed a bunch of people. I was like, And this connection comes from where exactly? I need to check what I'm fighting here. Gate map. I think it's undead, isn't it? It is indeed a Blight Boulevard. Oh, it's gonna be Schlimes, isn't it, as well? I'm gonna take this thing instead of Polaris. There we go. Triple swordsman going on here. Cool. So yeah, every time someone goes on some mass murdering spree, the media goes, oh, video games, the cause of all evil. If people didn't play video games, they wouldn't be murderous and killing people. But let's now go watch Die Hard 4 or 5 and watch people exploding. And how about the new Saw movie? The new Saw movie's out. Everybody needs to go watch the new Saw movie. No, video games are evil. No. Video games are the reason everyone's violent. Yeah, right, about that one. I don't think media is particularly, but I think there is an underlying issue within our society that never actually does get addressed within all this. I mean, speaking from a UK perspective, we have very strict gun control. Nobody has guns over here. And in the US, where these things quite frequently seem to go down, well, it's usually a story of some kids broken into some parent's gun cabinet and taken it to his school and gone and blown half of his fellow students away because he was being bullied and wanted revenge or something. It's, I think, broadly speaking, the issue is quite a psychological thing. There's a lot of people in society these days that genuinely need psychological help, and they're either ignored or waved away, or kind of just, oh, no, we don't deal with that sort of thing. I didn't change my armor. Oh well. Just don't get hit, I guess. Is kind of. I'll just do that. I won't take any damage. Yeah, right. So when people genuinely do need our help in society, they're never given it. There are plenty of people that are perhaps there are people who do genuinely have trouble distinguishing fantasy from reality. Those are the people you want to be helping. You don't want to be just branding all kids as incapable and totally deranged and potential murderers. Well, maybe we should be keeping a better eye out on society and making sure that these people get the relevant help that they need, you know. So I think there's very much a trend towards just medicate things and hope it goes away. Nobody actually gets psychological treatment for things, and there's very much a stigma against that kind of thing. It's almost seen as it's a terrible thing, you know. Oh, he's mentally ill. Oh, you need to avoid that sort of person. You don't know what they're capable of. Well, you know, if they're actually treated, you know, physical disabilities don't get the same kind of stigma. So why do mental disabilities? It makes no sense. Okay, yeah. Ow, 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 ow. You know, I was saying about not taking any damage. He can do some fighting for me for a moment. Can you pop up and shoot them all or something? Right. There we go. As I was saying about the gun control, I do think the US does have a problem in that regard, but this is coming from a perspective where I know there's a lot of people very passionate about it, but I come from a perspective where nobody has a gun, and this seems like a very normal way to be. There is a fantastic Dylan Moran quote, if you ever watched any of his stand-up works, where he's talking about every time something comes out in the media, it's not specifically in relation to video games, it's generally the media's reaction. It's like, oh, some kid's broken into his dad's gun cabinet and blown a bunch of people away, and hey, he kept up with me, that's cool. And every time the media's like, oh my god, this is terrible, it's an absolute tragedy, how could this possibly happen? We don't know, this is how could this state of affairs possibly come to being? That some kid felt that he needed to go and kill a bunch of people. I was like, well, you all have guns, and they do have a limited range of household applications. It's a perfectly valid point from my perspective. I think he's spot on with that. It was like, you know what? If you didn't all have guns and very easy access to them, you know, people wouldn't just go get a gun and kill everyone. And I think the pro-gun, like the NRA kind of argument is, well, these people would just go and find another way, and if people wanted guns, they would just acquire it on the black market. Broadly speaking, they kind of don't. The very dedicated, the downright criminal, you know, proper, genuine criminals, they might do that, yes. If we're talking like the Mafia, yeah, sure, okay, they'll go onto the black market and they'll buy themselves a bunch of guns, and that's great, okay, sure, whatever. You're not really going to stop that, and stricter gun controls aren't going to stop that. But quite frankly, your gun controls aren't put in place to, you know, fight the Mafia or anything. Nobody's ever going to do that. The only thing you're going to do is hurt other civilians by having those guns, really, is about the utmost outcome of it. Most people, when we talk about these tragedies that go on, it's usually someone who's got some psychological issues that have not been addressed by society or by doctors or psychologists or whatever, and they had a readily available access to a gun by going to their dad's gun cabinet or whatever, or... I just seem to recall the phrase, his grandfather's arsenal, in relation to something. I can't remember what. Like, his grandfather had an arsenal? What? Spiral Knights has an arsenal. Your grandfather shouldn't have an arsenal. What the hell? Who has an arsenal? That's a ridiculous thing to own in the house. Great, I'm poisoned. Oh, good. So, no, we shouldn't have these things, because then people who, you know... Again, we're talking sort of teenagers here. If these sort of people... You know, if they want to go grab a gun and there isn't one in the house, well, they're not going to go on the black market and try and buy a gun. If some teenager is being bullied and wants to take it out on the world, they aren't going to go through black market back channels to pick up a freaking assault rifle. However, if their grandfather happens to have one lying around in their arsenal, well, guess what? They've got easy access to a gun, and they might just go and grab it and use it. That's a thing that could happen. So I think it's kind of... more of a social issue that we do need to recognise and help those that need it, and certainly we have a great responsibility amongst all of us to actually not demonise it in any way, shape or form, because I think there's that stigma against people who have psychological issues. It perhaps does, you know, contribute to people not wanting to seek help, you know, or even just generally to help others. It's not a great state of affairs for society in general. So that's my stance on that one, and that's all I've got for today. That was short. That was a short one. Sorry guys, I've got a short one today. One additional point from... Oh, I've got to credit that question. That question was from Slimy Businessman, and he has one additional point, which was, you should record these on a Thursday. Yes, thank you for that. I know I should record these on a Thursday. That's kind of a legacy kind of thing. I started this thing on a Wednesday with the intention that it wasn't a Spiral Knights thing. Spiral Knights was a background to me talking, as indeed, you know, today was a good show. I like this because it was me talking with Spiral Knights just being a backdrop. That's kind of, this is the format I want the show to work in, by the way. So, yeah, if you've got any other questions, please throw them my way. Questions, I will answer Spiral Knights questions, but I'll be honest, I like other ones more. Just for the record there. So yeah, I just started this series as I want to talk about things and I need a game to go in the background, so Spiral Knights will do, and then it's kind of become a Spiral Knights thing, and it doesn't sync up well with the game's updates, unfortunately. Maybe it would be worth moving to Thursday, I don't know, but I feel like I'm too far stuck in my rut at this stage that it's my Wednesday show now, so hey, here we are. So, as I say, yes, questions. If you have any questions or topics, things to talk about, please leave them in the comments below. I totally will answer Spiral Knight stuff, but like I say, you know, if you got something that isn't, I'm more likely to prioritise that, just on the basis that I probably enjoy answering it a bit more, actually. And, of course, do remember to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, because that helps me out a bunch, and if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please do so, because I make videos... every day, in fact. Sometimes more. Not often, but sometimes more. But yeah, so if you enjoyed, thanks for supporting the channel. So thank you very much for watching. I've been Meroka, this has been Spiel. I shall see you next time.